Hey there, folks. You know, it is D-Man the Greaser, just finishing up a cigar before I head back to work. And I thought about just making a little video and a little rant for the day. And it's something similar that I went on to Cigars Daily Nation Facebook posts about. And just something I've just been just had my mind on just a little bit. So, before I really get into the video, and just in case if anybody didn't see my Cigars Daily or the Cigartopia Year 2 video. So if you guys can't see that, so I wouldn't say I was demonetized or anything. I was definitely blocked from a few territories or something like that. I was definitely flagged for a little bit. Not from cigars, not from the cussing I said that day, but it was from some background music that was happening while I was filming. So I may just re-edit that video. I could try to cut out some of the background noise, see if that works, and I'll just re-upload it if that's the case. But yeah, so I'll try my best to do something with it. But as I said, I really want to rant on, and something I was kind of thinking about this yesterday, and I posted a similar video up on the Cigars Daily Nation Facebook group post, and I thought this would be a really good video idea. So, I was kind of thinking, so, whenever I'm going to a cigar lounge, whether it's Cigars Daily or any of the lounges here in town in Tucson, or when I'm doing the whole vigilantes thing, and, there's a bunch of guys in the vigilantes that smoke cigars. And obviously at the cigar lounges that I go to, everybody smokes a cigar. And the thing I really love about the cigar community, it is one of the best places and one of the best communities where you can really fellowship with fellow Christians, especially from men, because I really believe that, I think it's important that us men, we should be there for each other, not in a friendship way, but we should be there in the brotherly kind of matter. Us Christian fellowship, fellow Christian men, I really think that we should be there for one another, really build each other up, fellowship with one another, and, just kind of build each other in Christ. And, going to cigar lounges, especially here in Tucson and Cigars Daily and being in Vigilantes, I don't know, for me, that's one of the few places where it's so easy to just talk about Christ, just smoking cigars, chilling, watching a game, but just really talking about Christ. Because, all the men that I've known at the cigar lounges are huge Christians. They love Jesus, they love Christ. And, to me, that's just very, it's very encouraging that happens, Because sometimes there's days where I kind of I wouldn't not put God to a side or anything, but kind of, sometimes I would not forget God, obviously, not forget what Jesus done for me, but sometimes it's really hard not to talk about him at a lot of places, and sometimes if I don't talk about the Christ or fellowship with other men, especially, sometimes I feel like I get into this big rabbit hole. But whenever I'm doing the whole vigilante, smoking a cigar with a couple of the guys from Vigilantes, and half the time we're talking about just Jesus a little bit, and that's awesome. And same thing with when I'm going to the cigar lounge, especially whether it's Cigars Daily or Anthony's here in Tucson. And it's just really fun. It's really cool. We talk about other things too besides Jesus. We talk about politics, sports, drinks, other cigars, any kind of topic, but we talk a lot about Jesus, and I just think it's very encouraging. And something I really encourage a lot of you guys out there, something to read from, is I would encourage you guys to read chapter 4 of Ecclesiastes. And chapter 4 of Ecclesiastes, it really is it's one of the best chapters for me, or one of the great chapters in that book, where it just really it trains us men how we can fellowship and really build each other up as men, and how we should be strong God-fearing Christian men. And I just hopefully that just builds some encouragement with it, and have a good cigar with it too. But yeah. And that's the thing. Sometimes I do somehow like put cigars first before God. I shouldn't. I apologize, God, for that. I definitely don't want to put cigars before God. God is always going to be the number one in my life. Because, he's the one that saved me and from being a wretch. But, yeah. Well, yeah, so this is just kind of my one of my daily rants about it. And I don't know what you guys think about it. For me, I think it's just very encouraging, when I'm around with fellow Christians, especially who are men. And when I'm at, like, when it has to do with anything with cigars, something that I thoroughly enjoy, as everybody knows. And I think it's really encouraging just to talk to fellow Christian men, even just in general, just about the Lord, telling him, like, what he's done in our lives, our testimonies, whatever. We just kind of we just do a little Bible study or something like that, So, yeah. Well, this is D-Man signing off. I hope you have a great day and have a fantastic, happy Thanksgiving. And I'll see you on the next video. Dig it.